Welcome to Teachings from the Masters with Daryl Sean Price.
Hi, welcome. I want to talk to you today about why living in alignment is so important. I want to remind you what I'm talking about when I say live in alignment. That means your spirit, your heart, and your mind are in sync. They are operating on the same wavelength. They are in vibration. You are listening to spirit and following that, allowing yourself to feel along the way. And I know there's a lot of people who hear this and go, oh, well, that's nice. And that sounds good. And yeah, that might make you feel good. But I still have issues to deal with. And here's the number one trap I see people falling into. When they really start to become conscious of them creating their reality, when they're starting to manifest, when they're starting to wake up and really do the work, tap into who they are, they fall into the trap I want to call the trap of relief. This happens all the time. So whether it's been events I was speaking at, whether it's webinars, whether it's group coaching calls, even one-on-ones, I get this all the time when I ask the question, you had what you desired most right now, how would that feel? And people will often answer, well, I would feel relief. And here's the trap in that. If you are seeking relief, what you've done is you've said, in my beliefs, in the current way I live, only when these things change outside am I allowed to feel okay. Let me give you an example. So let's take somebody who is addicted to smoking cigarettes. Now, it is pretty general consensus now that smoking cigarettes is bad for you, bad for your health. It is a very addictive thing. And there's lots of people who can debate about, well, how bad is it really? I don't want to get into any of that. But the person who craves a cigarette knows it's bad and wants to quit isn't taking that next cigarette and that next puff because they want the cigarette. It's because they are seeking relief from the craving. The relief gets them right back into the exact reality they want relief from. This is why seeking relief is a trap. Let's look at finances. Let's say you're struggling financially and you've got this mindset of, oh man, if I only had $3,000 more, I could pay all my bills. I would be okay for a month. Yeah, so that might be logically true because you're seeking relief from the unknown of, oh no, how am I going to pay my bills? All of your creative energy gets focused on that one moment. That situation of struggling to pay my bills, and I would feel relief if I had enough money to pay my bills, keeps you stuck in that reality of I'm struggling to pay my bills. And this applies to anything. Health. I have several clients. In fact, many of my clients are focused on health issues when they first find me. And they often go through the same cycle of, oh, well, what if this gets worse? And oh, what if I don't eat or drink the right thing or do the right exercise? Or what if I get on medications that actually hurt me more? Because I've heard of those stories over and over and over again. And so something happens health-wise. Their mind gets focused on one thing and one thing only. I want relief. I want relief from this health thing. I want to know it's going to be okay. I'm focusing all my creative energy on that. Even if they find relief from that one thing, they've solidified that reality. That there are things to be scared of with their health. And it keeps coming back. And I can promise you do this because I've done it a lot in my life. And it's easy to fall back in that trap because your senses and your mind goes wild as things are shifting into unknown. Oh no, I lost my income. Hey, that's just something shifting. But how am I going to pay my bills? Oh no, I've got this weird pain in my body. That might be energy shifting in your body. Well, but what if it gets worse? And what if it means something serious? And what if I now have cancer? Oh no, I'm setting boundaries with someone. What if they don't like it? When you seek relief, which is kind of what we're told to do, go put out the next fire and the next fire and the next fire and the next fire. You are never manifesting anything different than what you currently experience. So let's get back to living in alignment and why that's so important. When you live in alignment, when your spirit, your heart, and your mind are in sync, when you are listening to spirit, not reacting to outside, then yes, there are going to be times you have experiences of, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. I don't care though. I'm focused on living in alignment. I allow that energy to create my reality and know I will be okay. Living in alignment means you're living in faith. Living in alignment means you stop struggling with any outside circumstance. They're just at peace on the inside. And this will take some practice. Your mind will go wild. You start to shift your lifestyle to living in alignment, not seeking relief or to put out the next fire or to deal with the next issue. One of the things I see as a trend in the manifestation community, for lack of a better description, one of the things I see as a trend all the time is people jumping into this technique to manifest this specific result so that they can get relief and get what they need for that specific result. And sometimes it works. Sometimes they force that energy and attention so much they get that, for example, $3,000 you need to pay your bills this month. But then they go right back into, oh, I feel relief. Oh, okay, I got what I need. Oh my gosh, here comes the next one. Okay, let me go manifest that one. And they are jumping their attention from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Just putting out fires. Stop the chaos. Stop the struggle. This is your wake-up call right now. This is your wake-up call to live in alignment no matter what. You don't know where the money's coming from and you don't need to. You don't know what's going to happen with your health and you don't need to. You don't know what's happening with your relationships and you don't need to. You listen to spirit so you're not struggling with the outside. The moment you take that leap of faith, everything shifts. This is what manifesting miracles is really about. You know, I'm going to tell you a story. So this happened to me recently. A little while ago, I lost the income that I had. I had income off of some investments, and with things happening in the economic world, there's lots of logical reasons I can tell you why those investments didn't work, and the income we thought would come in is not coming in, etc. I don't really care. It's not that big a deal. It's just money. But there was a moment of, oh my gosh, do I need to go find a different job? Do I need to go do something else? Do I need to hurry up and hustle and push, and I got to pay my bills? And every step along the way, I stayed at, I'm living in alignment. I stayed right where I was at peace no matter what. And I had no doubt I'd be fine. I didn't know how. I had zero money coming in at that time. But I stayed in alignment. And I got a call from an old friend who said, hey, I want your help and your wisdom behind this project that I'm doing. I'm going to pay you this amount, which was exactly the amount that I needed at that time. I didn't seek it. I didn't chase it. I wasn't looking for the relief from the fear. I was living in alignment. Now I know what happens over and over again in your mind. The moment anything like that happens, your mind does go wild because it's trying to defend this current belief. So all of a sudden you lose your income and, oh no, where do I pay my bills? And what about this? And are we going to be okay? And what about the house? And what about paying the electric and the utilities and the car and blah, blah, blah. Your mind is going wild because your mind knew how that was coming in before and now does not know how. So it has nothing to fill in the gaps of the programming it currently has. Once you start to listen to spirit and train your mind to focus there and focus internal only, the external shifts to reflect that. So if your mind is 100% focused on, oh no, we're going to be in trouble financially, you're going to be in trouble financially because you create whatever you imagine. And think about this. Your imagination, as powerful as it is, will always create whatever you imagine the most. So if you were living in this fear of not having the money and not paying the bills, you're going to create that situation. You are living in alignment, which is always at peace and living in the imagination that everything works out. I always have what I need. That will happen as well. You're a powerful creator. So before you start to manifest anything, before you start to go out there and I'm going to make this result, check yourself. Are you living in alignment? This is a lifestyle shift. But if you take it seriously, this is where you become the master of creation of your life. And this is what every teaching throughout all history, all the great gurus, all the great masters, all the great religious leaders and spiritual leaders that have dug deep into this human life have taught. You are the creator of your own reality. And if you focus on finding inner peace, finding nirvana, if you focus internally on living in alignment, the world takes care of itself. Now that takes a lot of faith. So now what happens? What happens when you go and say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it seriously. Daryl Sean Price told me to live in alignment. I'm doing that. I'm living my life that way. No more chaos. I want clarity in life. No more of the hustle, hustle, hustle. I want peace in life. Then something happens. You're living in alignment. You're feeling the peace. And all of a sudden you do lose your income. And oh my gosh, I have bills due and I have zero money in. What do? Go back inside. Yes, it will take care of itself. But if you respond out of desperation and I got to push and I just want relief from this tension and this stress, you might get relief from the tension and stress for that moment and then create the new tension and stress to get relief from and the new tension and stress to get relief from. If you want everything to fall into place naturally, easily, in your happiest life, requires you to stay inside, living in alignment, even when those things happen. Sometimes that means observing the chaos as it sorts itself out. Okay, my mind is racing. Okay, I get that I'm feeling the stress. Let me just focus on allowing my body to feel that and letting it go. And I'm going to teach you a technique right now. And I teach everybody I work with. It's called the non-reaction technique. When you're in those moments where you feel like, man, I just need to get relief from this tension. I just need to relieve this stress. Let me give you something that'll refocus you back on the internal, back on inner peace. What you're going to do is this. You start with your body. Your body, your physical body, the thing that interacts with the experiences you've created, which are a reflection of your internal alignment, will always amplify your state of alignment. So if you're out of alignment, things are not in sync, and you feel this tension and stress, it will amplify that. So first you calm the body. Take some deep breaths. Relax. Just focus on the physical relaxing. Sometimes what I'll do is I will just clench all my muscles as tight as I can and then let go, because it starts that momentum of relaxing. And what you're doing as you calm the body is you're lowering those cortisol levels, the stress hormone. As you lower that, it's easier to let go of the rest of the experience as well. Basically, you're turning the amplifier down on the really loud music. So relax and calm your body. And once your body's completely calm, you're going to give your mind one job only. And it isn't thinking about the situation or how to solve it or what am I going to do or what's coming up next or da-da-da-da-da. All those things that it's wanting to do because it's wanting to defend this current belief that is falling apart. You're just going to focus on how you feel, whatever that emotion is, or whatever sensations you're feeling. Tell you the time that I felt fear of not having enough money, I was focused on it, felt like this heaviness in my chest. Almost like somehow I was feeling invaluable because I couldn't bring in more money. Unvalued, I guess is the right word, not invaluable. I was feeling unvalued because I couldn't bring in more money. So I focused on the heaviness in the chest. I let go of the idea of it's because I don't have enough money. I just said, ooh, I'm experiencing this heaviness. I'm experiencing this weight. I'm experiencing this pressure. And realized the feeling behind it was this fear. That's how I experience fear. Okay, I'm experiencing fear. It's okay to feel fear. It's just an emotion. It's just an experience. What I did is I focused on that emotion. Allowed myself to feel it until it passed. What I didn't allow myself to do is say, oh, fear. Well, but it's fear because of the bills and because of the money and because of the, no, just fear. That's the only experience I'm having. You immediately make your mind mindful. And by allowing your heart to feel, your heart is doing its job. Your heart is the connector between the mind and the spirit to make sure the vibration matches. So it's taking that fear emotion and by allowing your heart to feel it, sorting through all the energy of whatever thoughts are associated with fear, and letting that go completely. Okay, we've sorted through, we've allowed that feeling. Now, once the fear is gone, ask myself, what feels like peace right now? Oh, get online and play a game. Of course, your mind's going to say, well, that's not going to solve the bill. I don't care. It feels like peace. I'm doing it. Because I know if I'm living in alignment and following the peace, everything works out. And it doesn't matter what comes to mind when you ask what feels like peace, just follow it. When you are living in alignment, you will get ideas of inspired action frequently. And this is what I mean when I say follow the peace. When you are living in alignment, you will be inspired what step to take. And if there isn't an inspiration, there isn't a big, ooh, this feels like peace, do it. Don't do. Because what happens is if you start saying, well, I have to do something, I'm not inspired, I guess I better go do this, you fall right back in that relief trap again. I got to do something to relieve the situation. No, you don't. As far as you know, there are things happening you're not aware of that are the miracle that's coming to give you not just relief from the situation, the life you really want. And by you following the peace, you're allowing whatever is your happiest life to come to you in the easiest way possible. That's when the miracles happen. So as a quick recap, stop seeking relief. You find that you're trying to get relief from a stressful situation, you're feeding the stressful situation over and over again. Live in alignment. Live where your internal alignment between spirit, heart, and mind are what you're focused on and where your attention is. I'm in that state no matter what. Then when an idea comes up and it feels like peace, take that step even if it doesn't make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, it's probably a miracle that you're stepping into. Because miracles always happen outside of the current belief system you've created that created the situation you want to be away from anyway. I hope that non-reaction technique that I taught you helps. I have watched it change hundreds of lives with people I've worked with. Truly, there's nothing greater than the power of you. When you live in alignment, you will naturally create your happiest life and manifest miracles. You really are that powerful. You want more guidance on living in alignment and manifesting miracles in your life, don't hesitate to go to darylshawnprice.com. Check out my Power of You 2-week transformation. It's daily 15-minute lessons from me with guided meditations and activities that will help you stay focused on living in alignment and not reacting to the outside. And please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.